manage what people are putting in their mouth, manage the herbs and supplements that they're taking, we could almost ensure that the people are going to get the results that they're looking for. Watch what happens. We've seen lives transformed over and over and over on a daily basis.
Hi, I'm Koya Webb, and thank you for joining us today. Today, I am sitting here with the Cameron Moore. Cameron, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And if you haven't heard about Cameron, Cameron is, to me, one of the most knowledgeable persons about the alkaline, electric, plant-based vegan diet. He's worked directly with Dr. Sebi. He has been helping so many people, including myself and my aunt who had Parkinson's, really get their bodies alkaline with this electric, non-hybrid nutrition plan that he has. And so I wanted to bring him to you today so that he can share his journey and his knowledge on how we can all just really take our health to the next level. So Cameron, let us know how you got started.
Thank you so much, Koya. Awesome. How did I get started? Wow, I feel like it was a journey, and it was something that has always been in my path. I think the foundation was laid a long time ago. I had an auntie in my life that was many years ago into an alternative lifestyle. We thought it was crazy then. She came around and said, hey, we're not going to eat this and we don't eat that, and you need to take these herbs and this and that. But I think the seeds were planted very early on. And so even when I had a really unhealthy lifestyle, there were certain things that I always knew to do. And throughout my journey, it was like little breadcrumbs were left, saying, hey, go this way, check this out. Here, this circumstance is being presented. And it just kept building and building. I think it all came to a head when I met Dr. Sebi. A beautiful, amazing man. And it was through something seemingly totally unrelated. I got a phone call from a gentleman who is now a friend and mentor of mine. You know him, Thurston. And, he said, hey, I know you're working with this water situation. And at that time, I was involved with the Naturally Alkaline Water Company. And so I was trained and certified in that stuff. And so he asked me, he said, hey, would you like to meet a man named Dr. Sebi? And I'm like, meet him? Absolutely. He's like, well, he'd like to meet you. He heard about this thing that you're involved in. And when I met him, his energy was just so amazing. He was so accepting and just showed so much love. And
at the time, I remember you telling me this story, and you were pretty heavy, a lot heavier than you are now.
Oh, wow. I was, at that point, I was about 320 pounds.
Wow.
I was a smoker. I smoked about a pack of cigarettes every day. And I had a really unhealthy lifestyle. And at that point, Sebi shared some information with me. And the information that he shared with me would not allow me to be the same any longer. It was like seeds were planted, like you can't go back.
Right.
And so that became kind of our dynamic. I'd go, I'd sit, and he would share some information. I'd go back and I'd study, and I'd come back with questions, and he'd answer that, share some more information, and over a certain amount of time, I began to put these things to work in my own life. And I always like to give this caveat here. It's not that I was the only person around Sebi at the time, or that he tapped me on my shoulder and said, hey, you're going to be the one to carry this thing on, and so on and so forth. There were other people around. I can't speak for other people and what they took from the situation, but I was listening. And I knew that this was some information that not only needed to be taken in, but it needed to be shared, and it needed to be shared in a major way.
What do you think was the most impactful thing? Because you spent a lot of time with him. You learned a ton that, people, need to find out through your book, which I'm encouraging you to write.
Right.
But what do you feel like was the most impactful knowledge that he gave you so that you really understood how the body functions and that leads you to what you're teaching others today?
Yeah. So I could kind of bullet point it. Some of the most important things that he really drove home was, number one, we're all sick. We are at different stages of our individual pathologies. And we begin to write off different symptoms, and we'll say, I get migraine headaches, or I get reoccurring yeast infections, or I got bad knees or bad back. And all these things are really the body's way of saying, hey, you know what, something's going on here. The number two thing is that not only are we all sick, we're all sick from the exact same thing. They're not multiple diseases. They're just multiple manifestations of the exact same underlying problem. And that underlying problem is mucus or inflammation. The third thing is that it's no mystery where this stuff is coming from. It's coming from the food. And
the food and the environment.
The food and the environment, right? So, so there's a lot of things we can control. There's a lot of things we can't. Like the air quality in Southern California, there's nothing you can do about that. But you absolutely can do some things about what it is that you're putting in your mouth.
Right.
And, Sebi told me something. He said, Cameron, when you decide to make this change, you're going to be mad about two things. One is that you didn't make the change sooner. Number two is that you're going to be absolutely infuriated when you figure out what they've done to our food. And as I've continued my research, it is it can be overwhelming sometimes. And I know that people need help, because some of the things that they're telling us are healthy for us, they're not.
Right.
And
so a lot of people are knowing, like, okay, they get it. They don't know that information. And I think that's what you told me that really made it simple. It's like mucus and inflammation. So how can you get the body alkaline, right? And people are doing it in different ways, in different diets, but the surefire way to not only keep the body alkaline, but to keep it running at its optimal state.
Absolutely.
So can you share kind of like your transition to this unhealthy lifestyle to the lifestyle? And I mean, Cameron's an anomaly. He fasts. He doesn't even eat. I tell him, I tease him. I bought him a vegan burger today. He's going to eat. But when I first met him, he was fasting, and he believes heavily in fasting. So I would love for you to talk about the eating first, but then also get into the fasting too, because I do think fasting is healing as well.
Absolutely. So in terms of the eating, let me start here. We figured out how to ensure that we live an optimal life, and that our health stays in that zone. That zone is an alkaline zone, and we're looking to keep the body in homeostasis, right? And that is the point where everything is operating as it should be. The pH levels in the body are right, and we don't get any of the things going wrong in the body, right? So here's how we do it. We have to stop putting the foods in our mouth that are causing mucus, inflammation, and acid in the body. Those are the things that are getting inflammation and acid.
No bueno.
That's number one.
Got you.
All right. Number two, we have to begin to so that means we're going to stop doing detriment to our body. But what about all the damage we've already done, right? And so what we have to do is we got to begin to cleanse. We have to begin to cleanse our body on a cellular level. So everybody talks about colon cleansing, doing a colon flush and things. We know that that's good. We definitely have to keep that digestive tract moving along and flushed out. But we have to actually, to affect real healing, we got to take it a couple steps further, and we got to address the body at the level at which the problem lies, which is at the cellular level. Everything's happening right down there. That's where the magic's at. And so what we want to do is begin to address the cells on a one-on-one basis, and we're scrubbing them, removing the toxins, removing the heavy metals, removing the mucus, removing the acid, so that those cells can reform their own mucous membrane and become a healthy cell again. Because only a healthy cell can replicate another healthy cell. A sick, weakened, compromised cell is only going to make another sick, weakened, or compromised cell. So as we begin to clean those up, that one new healthy cell is going to make 2, and those 2 are going to make 4 and 8, and so on and so forth. What we're doing is starting the proliferation of healthy cells such that they begin to outnumber the unhealthy cells. Now, at the same time that we're cleaning them up, all right, we're kicking that bad stuff out, we got to give it, what are we going to rebuild it with, right? So we have to rebuild it with high doses of plant-based nutrition. That's what we talk about. So there's intracellular cleansing, and then we combine that with the cellular rejuvenation, high doses of plant-based nutrition. That's how we bring the body back into homeostasis. And that is how we begin to reverse every improper instance in the body, improper health. That's how we begin to reverse diseases. And so I always tell everybody, there's no magic here. There's no medicine here, right? It's just we're getting back to giving the body what it needs. The body's a perfect healing machine. Got to give it what it needs. And you know, Koya, there's something I want to share with you that I've learned that it's like these breadcrumbs. You were very instrumental in getting me to see this side, right? So my approach is very physical. It's very scientific, right?
Very.
There's no mysticism in what it is that I do, and I was pretty rigid about that. But you introduced me and opened my mind up to the metaphysical side, right? The spiritual side, the mindfulness. And I have to tell you, it has been like a whole nother level of breakthrough in my own self-work and my work with my clients. So thank you so much. So, you know, everything in this universe is about reciprocity. So, you know, I wasn't the only one sharing, right? You shared a lot with me. I appreciate that so much. Yeah,
Thank you for saying that, because I got so much from you, so much knowledge on, I knew how to eat healthy, and I knew how to balance my macros, protein, carbohydrates, fat, and to eat plant-based, and how good it is for me and the planet. But what I didn't know is about that intracellular cleansing and how to reverse almost every single instance on the planet. And even though I am plant-based vegan, that still, because of the toxins from the environment, I still must continually detox and cleanse myself so that I don't get sick. And that's what I wanted to give my community, who half of them are plant-based vegan, half of them aren't. But as we start to get healthy, realize that there's no point at which you don't have to cleanse and you don't have to be healthy. Like you said, we all are sick or have sickness at some point.
That's right.
It's just about maintaining our health by really being knowledgeable about what we're consuming through our clothes, through our products on our skin, through the air that we breathe. We all collectively, that's why the more we can tell people, because collectively, if someone's sitting beside you with some toxic perfume on, you're breathing that in. So that's why we have to share. And so I want to talk a little bit more about just because your journey is inspiring. You know, your transition is so inspiring. So I want to kind of go back and talk about this lifestyle that you had and the transition and how tough it was. And then when was that moment where you're just like, you know what? I just want to give people that, because a lot of people think it's impossible for them.
No, it's not. You know, so here's another thing. So people always talk to me about the stuff I learned from Sebi. Like, oh gosh, he taught you about these herbs and about this and that. Two of the biggest things that he taught me is that when we do this, we must do it with integrity, right? Because people are trusting you with their health, and you are a conduit for the information, right? So you've taken in the information, you're digesting it, and you're giving it back to the people. The other thing is that we got to meet everybody where they're at, and we got to do this with love. So it's no food shaming and talking down to folks and you eating that. You know, we meet people where we're at, and you know, everybody's trigger is different and what makes them want to change. But here's what I challenge folks to do: change something, right? It can't be in 2019 that there's not nothing that you don't eat, right?
Right.
You got to start cutting something out somewhere. And again,
what was the first thing you cut out? What was the first thing you were like, all right, I'm done with this and I'm going to get started?
Wow. The first thing I cut out was that smoking. That was, I look back and I'm like, I can't believe I did that.
And how much would you smoke?
And I was about a pack a day.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then the drinking. Wow, the drinking. You know, I was at the point where I was probably drinking about a gallon of vodka a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of vodka.
So this is a lifestyle that, you know, I kind of like built up over time. I spent many years in the music business, entertainment, and it just these unhealthy habits seemed to go right in line with the lifestyle.
Right.
And I just happily collected these habits, and I thought I was having a good time. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, everything happened like right at the right time. So when I was expecting my baby child was around the same time that I met Sebi. And so I'd spend the day over there with him, and I'd come home and I'd go outside. I never smoked inside. I'd go outside, smoke a cigarette, and I'd come back in. I'd do the whole wash up thing, you know, going
right.
But that didn't really do it. It's like you can't get it off. And I pick up my baby. She smells so sweet, and I'm like, oh. And then I'm like, oh gosh, I got her smelling like smoke. And I know. And I just looked at it, and I was like, you know what? I want to show my daughter something different. It's not getting any easier, right? Mm-hmm. In terms of food selections and things. And I want her to see, I want to give her a roadmap, and I want her to see her daddy's dynamic and that he's capable of change. And I have to be the change, right? So I'm not into like preaching, telling people what it is they got to do. Just watch me. I'm going to be an example. I'm going to be consistent. And then even the biggest naysayers, after a while, if you're consistent, they come around and say, hey, what was that you were saying about, you know, so I'll be like, okay, here, brother, let me share that with you. And I look at the seeds that I planted, and I watch my daughter. Now, again, she's a kid, so
right.
she's going to have some things,
right?
But I look at the choices that she'll make. You know, somebody puts some ice cream in front of her. She's like, is it vegan? Mm-hmm. Hello, she's 4 years old, right? And she knows. You know, if you meet her, she loves to tell people, you know, I never had any baby food. She's 4. She's like, my daddy always made my food, right? So even those little jewels, those seeds are planted, and that is how we really affect change in the lineage of things. And so, yeah, that lifestyle, I think that's when I flipped the switch. And from there, it was just like a dogged commitment. Like, okay.
So you got to be committed to it.
You got to be committed to it.
Right.
But don't necessarily try to do it all at once.
Right.
And so what I did, so, you know, Dr. Sebi put together a nutritional guide, and he put this guide together over the course of 30 to 40 years. And this list was dynamic, so it changed over time. But what he did that we haven't done, and one of the greatest gifts he gave us, is with his time and his money, he decided to research the foods. And he sent these foods to independent laboratories, not just to find out what this food was on a molecular level and what it had to offer the body and would it assimilate, but also what was the lineage of this food? Where did it come from? When did it first pop up on this planet? And to figure out, is it something that's actually useful in it? Because they'll tell you this food has all this in it, it's got this in it and that in it, all these different nutrients and vitamins and this and that. It doesn't do any good if it won't assimilate.
Right.
It might be in there. They're not lying. It's in there, but it won't assimilate, so it's not going to work out. And so I take that list, and I was like, okay, I put a copy of it up on the refrigerator. I put a copy of it on my phone, so I'd always have it with me. And I told myself, you know what? Every day, I'm going to eat at least one thing off of this list. Every day. Did that for a while, and I said, okay, every meal, every time I eat, I'm going to have at least one thing off of this list included. And then I said, hey, you know what? Half of everything I put in my mouth is going to come from this list.
That's amazing.
And 70%. 80%, 90%. And, you know, you just kept refining.
So baby steps
Baby
is
steps.
what you recommend. Just
Baby
adding,
steps.
whether it's like one thing a week to one thing, couple
A
things
day.
a week, one thing a day.
Yep.
I think that's beautiful because I feel like people feel like, okay, I need to go vegan, or I need to
Right.
go alkaline, or I need to. But I agree, my process too was just one step at a time.
That's right.
Cut out one at a time. That's so beautiful.
And you know, here's the thing, Koya. Like, for people like yourself, people like me, it's kind of like second nature at this point, right? Like, we just not going to eat certain things, right? It just comes automatic, right? But it can be intimidating for folks. Like, we want them to go from 0 to 100. Okay, not going to happen. That could be intimidating. And what will happen is they just do nothing, right? And so what I tell everyone is that the difference between my approach and a lot of people, because there's some other folks out here that on this alkaline vegan thing, and they just kind of like, you know, like, whoa, bro. Okay, so here's what we're...
My way or the highway. Kind
Right.
Yeah.
Here's what we're really trying to do. What we're trying to do is create a lifestyle that's sustainable for a lifetime. Right? Not this flash in the pan thing like, oh yeah, I'm going whole alkaline vegan, and then next week they're back on burgers and stuff, you know. No, we looking for a lifestyle that's sustainable for a lifetime. And if we could get to the point where 75-80% of everything that we put in our mouth comes from this narrow range of food selections, the healthiest food choices, if we can get to that point, 75-80%, and then we constantly cleanse our body on a cellular level, right? And we're constantly hitting our body with high doses of plant-based nutrition, then we will reap the benefits.
That's so true. And can you share what some of these foods are? Because some of these foods were new to me, like coyote.
Right.
So can you share some of the foods that people can start, like, you know, 5 or 6 fruits and 5 or 6 vegetables that you feel like maybe even weekly that people can add into their
very beneficial
diets.
Yeah. So the one you just named, chayote, is that's a hidden jewel. And some of these foods can be a little challenging to find, but they're right up under your nose, right?
Right. Online, you can get
You
a
can
lot
get
of
them
them.
online. That's right.
At specialty markets.
Specialty markets, a lot of Latino markets.
But everyone can get them online.
Yeah.
I just want to mention that because a lot of people are
don't have that. Right. They
don't
have
that. Don't have the access. But I feel like online, it's become so
it's a whole
easy
new world
to live this lifestyle because everything can.
And it just shows up at your door.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, so
the chayote is a really good one. The nopales is something, if you could have it every day, that'd be great. A lot of the harder winter squashes, we like those. The kabocha squash, the butternut squash, the acorn squash.
I love butternut squash.
Those are good. Wow, dandelion greens, powerful. Definitely looking for those. Jicama.
Jicama. I love jicama.
Jicama is going to be a good one. Yeah, that's going to be a good one. You know, a lot of the stuff that people like, mangoes are really good.
5 or so fruit.
Mangoes are good. Papaya is good. Apples are great. We want to stay away from like some of these new ones that just came out, you know,
if it doesn't have a seed, right?
Right.
And those seedless, we should mention that the seedless and the hybrid versus non-hybrid. I think we should definitely.
Right.
Let's name 3 more fruits so people can go pick these things up.
Got it. Grapes. With seeds. That's right.
Watermelon with seeds.
With seeds, man.
That's 5 fruits and vegetables.
Stuff. That's right. Powerful
He
stuff.
has a whole list, though. We'll give you his information, but he has a whole list you can look at. But I feel like that's enough, like 5 fruits and vegetables, that if you just add those
put your head of the game.
Yeah, they're going to add so much nutrients to your body.
That's right. All those things are nutrient dense, definitely. And just as much as it's about what we're putting in, it's what we're not putting in, right?
Right.
So every time we're subbing one of these things for something else, that means we're not having that other detrimental food.
I call it crowding out.
Right,
So
right.
it's like you're crowding out. So the more that you put these healthy foods in, the other
Ain't
foods
no
just
space
start
for
to
'em,
fall
right.
away.
That's
Even
right.
though you might not be perfect, you might go get that pizza or go get that burger, but because of all the squash and the mango and papaya that you're adding in, you're eating less and less of the stuff that's not good for you. So you look up and you're like, man, I have more energy. My skin's looking kind of good. I feel
That's right.
great, and that makes you want to do even more. So a little bit, because I do all limes now, rarely
Okay.
do lemons
No,
because
that's right.
of you.
That's right.
And so I want to talk about the hybrid versus
Hybrid.
non-hybrid a little bit.
Absolutely. So, so with Sebi's research, and I was saying, he sent these foods off to the lab. What he figured out was that everything that grows out of the ground isn't necessarily natural. Meaning it wasn't made by God, nature, creation, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't originally on this planet. It was grafted. And so this is the category we call the hybrid foods. And these are foods that were not originally on this planet, and they were created by man. And they were created by taking two plants, or animals for that matter, because we got hybrid animals too,
Right.
that normally in nature would never mate or cross-pollinate with one another, and they force them to do so. So they splice them together, and they force them to create an offspring. And they take that offspring, and they force it to mate again and again and again and again. And each time they're doing it for particular characteristics.
Right.
None of these characteristics have anything to do with your health. They have everything to do with creating a viable cash crop, something that will grow and not be destroyed by pests, that will grow quickly, that will last a long time. It's going to look beautiful. It lasts a long time, so they can get it from the fields into the distribution centers, and then into the grocery stores, and then into your home, and it not rot. And
the way someone explained to me, I don't know if it was you or someone else, they're like, it's weakening the DNA of the plant.
Absolutely. It's weakened. It's been every single time that it's been spliced and spliced and spliced, that original information that is in there, it's getting whittled down. And we'll talk about why that information is important. And so people say, all right, well, it's still like, it's a vegetable. How bad can it be? Well, it could be pretty detrimental because by default, its molecular structure is going to be incomplete, and its genetic structure is going to be incompatible with our DNA. So what that means is that the food's not going to assimilate. So there's a misnomer where they say you are what you eat. Close, but not quite, right? We are what we assimilate. Most of the junk that we're taking in, the body doesn't know what to do with it.
It's not absorbing it.
Right. And so like you talked about with that message and that DNA, it's so key. Like that DNA inside of those dandelion greens, or inside of that chayote, man, it has a relationship with your DNA. And they talk to each other. And when they get together and that digestion starts, there's a beautiful chemical relationship and reaction that takes place, the byproduct of which is electricity, which is going to fuel the body. And so that is what assimilation is about.
Hence the electric diet.
Absolutely.
Or I like to say the electric nutrition blend.
That's right.
Plan.
And that's what we are looking for.
Right.
These other foods are not going to give you that. So we get full, we get fat, we get calories, but we're not getting real nutrition. And that's what the body craves so much. And it's like, man, if you just try it, your body's going to cooperate. Your body's going to be like, oh, yeah, I like that. Yeah, let's do some more of that. And you get that again, and you're like, oh, yeah. And it kind of can start like a steamroll or a snowball effect towards this healthier lifestyle.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you provided us so much juicy information, and I want you to kind of let people know kind of what you're doing now and where they can learn more or work with you and things like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So where I'm at now is that my lifestyle has become my business. And so there's a couple different parts to what it is that I do. One is that I will do consultations with folks. We'll sit down on a one-on-one basis. We talk about where they've been health-wise, where they're at, where they're trying to go, and we'll devise a plan to assist in getting them there. And so we don't just, meet that one time. I coach them the whole way through. and try to ensure that they get those results. The other thing that we do is that, we figured out that this alkaline, electric, vegan diet thing could be a little challenging for folks because they got a whole life to live, right?
Right.
And they got other things going on. And so we figured out there were 3 things that kept people from being able to do this. One was access.
Mm-hmm.
Access. Okay, I'm looking at this food list. Half the things I haven't heard of. I don't know where to get them. I don't have time to go to 5 different markets and the farmers markets. I don't have time to prep it and cook it, right? So that's going to be a roadblock or obstacle for people. Mm-hmm. The second thing was, oh man, okay, this vegan thing, the food, I've tasted some of it. It tastes, kind of like cardboard.
Right.
Okay, well, it doesn't have to. We can get past that and we can actually infuse flavor into this food. The third thing was variety. People like, I'm down with the vegan thing. I just can't have a salad for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day. So what we did was we put together a program where we removed each one of those roadblocks and obstacles for people, right? And so we've put together a meal prep delivery service where we actually prepare the meals in a delicious fashion. We take these ingredients from this list and we transform them into all types of creative and delicious and nutritious meals. We package them up and we deliver them to people's doorstep.
And I've had them and they are delicious. I mean, the juices. Can you just tell them the juices?
Yeah. So we make I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 different fresh juices every week. So we'll make a powerful green juice. It's not like most of the green juices you see around. We got some other stuff in ours. So we put dandelion, mustard greens, verdolagas, fresh burdock root, some things that are really, really going to work to cleanse and fortify the body. We make some fruit juices. We make a guanabana.
Guanabana is the best thing ever.
They call it soursop in the islands.
Yes.
And we make that fresh every week. We got another blend that's really popular. It's apple, blackberry, chia, and cayenne pepper. That one's delicious. We make one called a cactus cooler.
Right.
Where we take the nopal cactus and we blend that. We mix it with some alkaline spring water, some key lime juice, and some agave. That one's delicious.
And you just feel like when I drink these juices, he'd come and I'd crave them. It's almost like crack.
Yeah,
you get addicted to how you feel. And I think that's important because our bodies really does crave feeling better. And when it craves things that are not so good for us, like sugar and caffeine and stuff, and our body will get addicted to it. But that's going to take our body down. But when it gets addicted to this high from these fruits and vegetables, you feel like you can run a marathon.
Easy.
I mean,
easy call.
It feels so good.
Yeah. And so, this thing was, so the other thing is that, we put together herbal formulas, blends and things. And what we figured out was that if we could manage what people are putting in their mouth, manage the herbs and supplements that they're taking, we could almost ensure that the people are going to get the results that they're looking for.
Right.
And it is an honor, honestly, to be able to do this and watch the work, watch what happens. We've seen lives transformed over and over and over on a daily basis. People adopt this lifestyle, and it's like, every day I'll just get one of those little trinkets that just lets me know it's all worth it. They'll hit me with a text and just be like, hey, I went to the doctor today. My A1C is down from 7.2 to 6.1. Couple more points and I'm no longer diabetic. And it's been like 3 months.
How? Now, I want to get into that. Like, what are some of the things that you've seen shift for people? From diabetes to I'm just gonna let you tell me what you've experienced. More than just weight loss, for sure.
Right. Yeah. So the weight loss thing, a lot of people, that's what they're looking for, and they come and I'm like, that's the easy thing. You can get that easy, right? You start putting the right stuff in your mouth, that's gonna happen. But at this point, I mean, wow, what haven't we seen? We've seen fibromyalgia gone in 8 days. We've seen COPD gone in 14 days. We've seen bone cancer gone in 4 months. We've seen lupus gone in 3 months. We've seen sickle cell gone in 3 months. We've seen, oh man, we've probably assisted probably 50 people in getting off diabetes medication. Probably twice that in high blood pressure. We've seen lymphoma gone in 6 weeks. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Like,
the body can heal itself.
The body can heal itself. Like, people come for one thing, and we're like, okay, we're gonna address that, and they're like, but all this other stuff is happening too.
Right.
I'm like, yeah. You know, the reality that we figured out is that, man, we get so used to feeling bad that we've forgotten what it's like to feel good.
Right.
And so people
and we get so used to taking drugs.
Oh gosh.
As a solution.
Yeah.
When it's just masking.
That's it.
The problem.
That's all it's doing. And you know, with the way we run our business, our practice, and my constitution, I never tell people, listen, stop taking your medication. That's an individual thing, and I have no right to tell anyone that, right? But here's what I tell folks. This is what I've seen. That's a chemical. This is God's food. you gotta figure it out yourself. You know, it's not that it's no mystery. Like, people are doing this every day. Like, people come with a condition, they're like, oh, my condition is this. Okay, well, like, you won't be the first or the last to reverse
and
that.
Another story that I love that you shared with me was a story when they questioned, you know, when Dr. Sebi had to go to court.
Oh yeah.
Can you share a little bit of what they demanded of him?
Yeah, that was amazing. So in '85, Dr. Sebi put ad in the newspaper, the New York Post, the Village Voice, and the Amsterdam News. And this ad said that we at the Usher Research Facility have successfully cured AIDS, cancer, diabetes, lupus, and all these other diseases, right?
Right.
And he ran that ad consistently for years. He got a phone call from the New York Attorney General's office, said, hey, you're going to need to take that ad out the newspaper. He said, why? He said, because you're making false medical claims. What do you mean? Well, you're claiming to cure diseases that have no cure. He says, well, you didn't ask me. There's no cure. You didn't even ask to see my research. There's no cure. Take it out. No, I'm not. He refused to take it out. All right, so things ran their course of action, and they arrested him. And they charged him for with practicing medicine without a license, making false medical claims, and prescribing medications not approved by the FDA.
Right.
So in pretrial, the judge told him, hey, look, you're going to need to bring 9 witnesses, one from each of the diseases that you say you cured. And they're going to need to show up, and they're going to need to bring their diagnostic sheets that show that they had the disease, you treated them, and then they didn't have the disease. And these diagnostic sheets can't come from your spot. They're going to need to come from medically accredited facilities.
Right.
Court time rolled around. The man showed up. He did not have the 9 people with him. He had 77.
It's amazing. I love that story. 77 people that showed up
Yeah.
and proved
Yeah.
I have healed from these diseases.
You know the beautiful thing about it? Not just they showed up because they were healed. They showed up for him.
Right. Because they're trying to lock him up.
What the work meant to them in their life, man. They showed up for him. They, you know, at a point in time, they needed him, and now he needed them.
Right.
And they showed up. And that's the power of the love and the power of the healing.
And community. And why community is so important.
That's right.
Because a lot of people doing this work, a lot of people, they don't have the support that they need.
That's right.
Especially from the communities that might not fully understand.
Yeah, it could be tough. And so he went and he won the court case. That's a matter of public record. He won the court case. And he proved that he did cure these diseases and a lot of others. And he proved that he did it with the same nutritional plan that we're talking about and a course of herbs. And he won the right. You know, most natural, alternative, holistic practitioners, you have to be very careful about the language that we use, right?
Right.
And but he won the right to say, I cure, I heal.
That's amazing.
And that was powerful.
Because
And
not many people have that right, even
no,
today.
no. He was fearless in what he did. Fearless. And he really gave everything. He gave everything so that we would have this information. And it's so beautiful. The timing of it was so beautiful because he came right at that edge of the cusp of like social media and things being able to be memorialized for years to come. And so the information is out there. Information's out there. And there's a few people, like myself, that really study. So what's next? Okay, he gave us a platform.
Right.
We got to take it further.
Mm-hmm. So how are you taking it further? I mean, I know you have the food delivery. You also do one-on-one consultations.
We put herbal blends together. And so we're giving people access to these things. And I study. Mm-hmm. That's what I do. I study.
Nonstop.
Man. I'm obsessive about it. It would be a true testament if I could put one period on the end of the sentence that Sebi already put down. Right. And so he gave us the foundation, but the work is not over. There's still not only so many people that need help, but there's still so much more information. There's so many more foods that we got to take a closer look at, figure out what they are. Do they offer the body anything? Mushrooms is a whole nother world. Like I'm just starting to dig into that. That's a whole nother world. And they have lots of healing properties also. And so that's what we're doing.
That's amazing.
And
your website?
Beyond Vegan Lifestyle.
Okay.
And Instagram is at Beyond Vegan Eats.
Okay.
And you can go there. You can see all types of beautiful food that we put together. You can actually sign up right there on Instagram. You hit the book button, and it's going to bring you up all the options of the different subscription services, whether it's just juices that you want, or you want the full program, or you want to book a consultation. You can do that right there. We also just started shipping the meals.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
We're doing West Coast shipping, within like a 500, 600 mile radius of Los Angeles. And, people like yourself, and there's some other real warriors out here that are doing their thing in their own right, and they always are inclusive and always include me, and I'm super appreciative of that. And it's so crazy that has taken me so many places.
Right. I'm just so honored to have you on, because I feel like people need this information.
They do.
People really need it. And not only from me, but for you, from so many different perspectives. So you realize that this is something that is not going away. And if we really want to heal and elevate as a community and as a world, we have to start making these practices a lifestyle.
Absolutely.
So do you have one last thing you want to leave the people who are like, this sounds good, Cameron, but like, how am I really gonna make it work for myself?
Yeah. I would like to leave people with just kind of a couple bullet points.
Okay.
About what they can do to ensure that their cells,
get a pen and paper, or put in the notes,
their families,
on your phone, and your
stay
family.
Healthy. Absolutely. This is how you can take care of yourself and your family. You or your loved ones. We don't have to be sick. So every day, try your best to get as close to a gallon of the best quality water you can find in your body.
We got our water.
We're drinking
right
some.
He got me
this
on
is
this
some
water.
amazing
this
stuff right here.
Let's drink it. It's so good.
That's some amazing stuff.
He got me on this Starkey's water.
It's totally worth spending money on. That is where we start with the water, right? The water is not just, we talk about quenching thirst. It's a delivery system, and your water should be full of minerals. So that's number one. Number two, like we talked about, we want to stop putting the foods in our mouth that are causing mucus, acid, and inflammation, right? That means the meat. That means the dairy products. That means the processed, refined stuff, the sugars, the starches. Stop that. We have to figure out how to get our bodies high doses of iron. Iron is super duper important. Not talking about the stuff that comes from the pharmacy or over the counter or GNC. We're talking about plant-based iron. You need a plant-based iron supplement, and you need it in high doses. Iron is the main constituent of the blood. The blood is the carrier system, right? It washes over the organs. It brings oxygen. It brings nutrition. It's picking up trash and it's taking it away. It's also the magnetic mineral, right? And so wherever you find high doses of iron, you're going to find all the doses of trace minerals that come along with that iron, and they're going to be in their proper proportions. That's super important. Fasting. Need to fast, right? Fasting is important because it gives the body an opportunity to get back to its main work. The main work of the body is constant maintenance, right? And repair. Maintenance and repair. But when we continuously are shoving stuff down the gut, and we got to deal with digestion. And digestion is the bodily function that takes the most energy, right? So when we cut the digestion off, and the body can just focus on healing. That is the quickest path to healing. So I'm not saying you should jump out there and, do 30, 40, 60 days.
Right.
You got to work your way up to that.
Like sometimes I stop eating solid foods at 12 and I don't eat anything else solid until 12 the next day. I might have a juice or a smoothie in the morning that's liquid, but that's my kind of daily intermittent fasting when I need to.
And that is beautiful. And do you know every time you're doing that, you're adding life at the end? You are. That's very important. And the other thing is find a way to... and the cleansing. We got to cleanse our body on a cellular level. You're going to have to find some strong cleansers, plant-based herbal cleansers, to cleanse your cells on a constant basis. This isn't something you do like one time, I'm going to do a cleanse, this year. No, it's constant because the toxins are constant, right? You're constantly breathing in toxic air. You're constantly eating toxic food. You're constantly exposed to municipal water. We even exposed to toxic people sometime in our environment, right?
Yes.
So you got to constantly cleanse. And then you got to find some way to center yourself. If it's yoga, meditation, relaxation. Koya taught me all types of things about relaxation. Just, you got to get there because when we can quiet all this outside stuff, right, the mind can get focused on getting the body back in tune, back in sync. And so much of this healing is associated with that. Those would be the tips. And if you can do those things, you're going to have a long, healthy life, like no doubt.
That was amazing. Thank you so much, Cameron.
Thank you.
I just have one question that I want to ask all my guests, you being my first. How do you get loved up? How do you love yourself, love others, and love the planet?
Wow. That's beautiful. And if you'd asked me a few months ago, I might would have struggled with that answer. The way that I get loved up is by being of service, right? So I love being of service. I surround myself with like-minded people, people who also want to be of service. And, we are what we consider to be like love monsters. Like, it's really about love. And so I surround myself with the things in the work that I love. I surround myself with the people that I love. And I'm learning to take care of myself and treat myself,
Yeah.
I got a vacation coming up, the first one that I don't even know what that means. I used to get nervous anytime someone talked about going somewhere, right? Because I was so entrenched in what I was doing. But I learned that I need that and I need to recharge. I sleep sometimes now. I do. I do. And so that's it. That's how I get loved up. Thank you for teaching me how to get loved up.
Well, thank you, because I remember saying, you're going to be taking a vacation next year. You need to have someone that can do this work so you can take a vacay. And I definitely have seen you still working and helping people and being of service, but realizing we also have to take care of ourselves so we can serve others better. So thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your beautiful glow. I am so grateful to call you a friend, and I'm so grateful to have you in my life. So Thank you for being with us
Thank
today.
you. Thank you so much.
All right, you guys, you know where to find him. Go check him out. And he has so much to offer. And thank you so much for today. And until next time, we got to do the heart thing. It's going to be my send-off. Get loved up.
All right.